Hello, 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 everybody. Hello. Welcome, 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 one and all, to the Gaz Williams Show with my very esteemed special guest, Mr. Finlay Shakespeare.
Oh, bless you. Hello.
Second time you've been here, Finn. You
Yes.
came, not long after lockdown when you came and helped me with some patching.
We definitely stayed 2 meters apart, didn't we? I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can hear us okay. So we will just, so really exciting. We have got
Ta-da.
the crick.
Yes.
How beautiful. Look at that. So yes, anyway, we will be talking about that. I just want to say a few things first. Please check out on my YouTube channel. I've got some quasi-modal some videos. Some of you have seen some, and thank you very much for those of you who have seen and commented. Yeah. I just put up a new one today, well, from the same session. Got another session tomorrow. So please check that out, because I'm really excited. Just this has been a project 10 months in the making so far, so just going public with it now. So we're going to start hopefully recording videoing every session now, and then pick pieces up. So this is the thing. This is modular and a live drum kit.
Yeah, I heard about this.
Right. Yeah.
I need to check this out.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it, because in part because Greg, the drummer who I'm working with, Greg White, he's such a brilliant drummer, and we realised quite early on, well, actually the first session that we did together, that we're not going to use a click track.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the key thing. That's the key thing for me, because it liberates him from being sort of told what to do.
Yeah.
And we've discovered that he can play in his own tempo, like separate from what I'm doing, and because he's such a good drummer and can really hold his timing so well, and play confidently, it then makes everything just fall into what he's doing. It's quite a revelation for me. Or anything with synthesizer loops and samples, or anything that you tend to use, you tend to have to lock the drummer down on click. And of course, like, without having a click, there's no actual definition of where the downbeat is necessarily. Sometimes it's obvious, it's implied by what I'm doing, but also the onbeat, the offbeat, and the tempo. There's a lot of wiggle room, and you can push and pull, and you've got a lot more freedom. So that's kind of what we are exploring with it.
Brilliant.
So I've put up 2 videos so far. The first one I put up is much more like kind of straight ahead, more sort of dancey, but I don't really want to make dance music. If it comes out that way, great. I want to just do any music. I don't want to be in any way bound by any genres or but we haven't taken this out live yet. So when we go out live, if people look like they want to dance, I've got this thing as well. I'm thinking people sometimes don't dance, sit down. If you're dancing, I then feel conscious that I have to keep sort of playing to you. It's not about you. It's about me, and it's about us.
Full on self-indulgence.
Absolutely. But yes. Hello everyone in the chat room. Oh, Kent Bong. Hello, Kent. Jason Jervis. Dots. Oh my goodness. Mr. Spoon. Matt Brown. Sloon. Steve Elbrose. Tom Curtin. Our friend Tom. Asio Head. Wagyu. Oh my goodness. Paintopia. Just looking if I've missed anyone. I think I might have missed a few people. If you're saying hello. Oh, the battery operated orchestra.
Oh,
woohoo.
Hello.
How nice. We're being joined by some very esteemed audience tonight. Great. Okay, Ryan Sanders. I was telling you about Ryan earlier. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Thanks everyone. I think we've got a good audience here. We've got a fantastic thing to explore. So, Finn, you utterly blew my mind. This Machina Bristronica, because I wasn't even sure if Future Sound Systems was even a thing anymore.
Yeah. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough couple of years. But this is kind of really what has come, from the time that we've been spending on working towards this thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really why it's been so quiet. We haven't been
Well, look at this. I
Farming
mean,
loads of stuff out. Here you go.
yeah.
This is it.
And something that you really do have to experience is it's a very large. Just how can we get some perspective here?
Should I put my hands on it?
Put your hands on it. Yes, this is. So how wide is it, Finn? Because it's.
I think it's about 20 inches. So when I first started sketching this out, I was thinking maybe it'll be 19 inch, and it very quickly surpassed that. Originally as well, it was actually 90 degrees the other way. We had this bizarre portrait kind of design, which I made like a proof of concept up for that, and it just didn't work, because it was you were always, you know, like just stretching too much over the whole thing, and then if you stood it up, it just felt like a complete monolith in front of you.
Okay, interesting.
Not in a nice way either, like horribly acoustically too.
I just flashed up a message I think you might have missed. I'll just put it up again. Thanks, Finlay, for the best model synth of the century so far with the Malevolent.
No, please, thank you very much. No, that does mean a lot.
Yeah.
But this also kind of came from really the work we were doing with Paul too, because that was the first time. Well, it was a continuation of Brunswick, really. Kind of when I designed the Brunswick kit for Beef and then for Thonk.
Yeah. We should just back up a little bit. If you don't know what Beef is, that's the Bristol
Experimental Expanded Film Society.
Right.
Just amazing group of people. They put on incredible events. They used to be based in the Brunswick Club, which is sadly no more.
In Brunswick Square in Bristol.
Yeah. And that's why it's called the Brunswick. And then Portland is called Portland because Portland Square is next to Brunswick Square, so it's a little bit of a Bristol tie-in. But nice. This is kind of the next step, I guess, in that lineage of saying, okay, well, what happens if I try and put a synthesizer together rather than just, you know, modules?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like it just goes above and beyond anything I've seen you do before. I mean, this is it's a fully, well, I mean, it's a complete full-featured synthesizer, as we will explore. Now, I should mention, tonight, we have no time frame. We're going to go as long as long as it takes, and there's a lot to get around, as you can see.
Well, there is and there isn't. I think it can come across quite intimidating in a way, but it's not that bad.
Once we start breaking it down, it's fully featured, and there's a lot of features in here that are quite unique, I guess. I don't know really of any other synthesizers that do some of, particularly in the oscillator section, other than our own recombination engine. I don't really know what else. And I'm going to
so much.
What I'm going to do as well, folks, is I'm going to attempt this, which is a handheld camera today. So I'm going to see how well this goes. But this is in part so we can explore this enormous... Well, look at this. Look at this. And I mean, there's some terminology that you're going to have to explain on here as well. Like scissor.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the DNA oscillators. Now, here is the thing. This is the Future Sound Systems Cric. Yeah. Yes. Now, I immediately thought pin matrix, EMS, Cricklewood. Yep. And that is not.
It's not, no. So a friend of ours, Ruth, she's done some amazing illustrations for the packaging, the manual, stickers, things like that. Yeah. She actually suggested the name, so kind of had this design based around like the recombination engine, which takes 3 oscillators, and it says you have one kind of master oscillator, I guess that's the scissor, and then that is used to, I guess, control and switch between 2 different DNA oscillators.
And so what, scissor then, because of the motion of the scissors? Or?
Well, because you're cutting in between these two waveforms.
Cutting in, of course.
And it plays into this recombination thing. So I will likely be trampling all over the genetic science of this stuff. But some very quick Wikipedia reading
And that's
yes, you have this kind of weird gene scissor thing. So it's based around this whole, thinking that like, well, your waveforms are maybe the DNA of your sound, before they enter filtering and all of that kind of stuff. What happens if you stitch all of these waveforms together in time? So we're not just talking about mixing, although, you can do that. It's like any other synthesizer. But saying like, okay, well, what happens if we have, I don't know, like the peak of a triangle wave and the trough of a sawtooth wave? Ooh. And you can put all of that together. So if I just unpatch this?
And we should also say this is a completely analog synthesizer.
Yes, yeah, there is not even MIDI in it. So there were technical reasons why I kind of wanted to stay away from MIDI, but also we'll probably look at this in a bit, I guess. The patchability of the oscillators allows you to use this as more than just one monophonic kind of synthesizer. You can start breaking it down into a paraphonic setup or even a kind of polyphonic setup, even though that's a little bit limited.
Okay. And also, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background what we're doing with the show is because we've got a couple of cool things that we're plugged into as well. So we've got the Oxy. Now this is I've been banging on about this now over the last few weeks. I'm loving the Oxy. So we're using the Oxy as our keyboard or sequencer. So we've got like a CV and gate pair coming out of that, plus another couple of CVs out. So that's just there for when we get a little bit further on. That's then in an effect. Well, so at the back of the crick we've got this. So you got 4 ins and 4 outs, and then you can. I'm guessing the pin matrix is you can route things with the pin matrix.
You've got 4 inputs here as sources, and then 4 destinations over here as 4 outputs as destinations. So you can then use these levels to control the sends and returns essentially. If you wanted to make an effects loop, you can split your big synth patch into different sends if you want to do that. So if you wanted to capture, I don't know, even just the oscillator mix before it hits the filter, track that just in case you don't like the filtering, kind of thinking as you would work in a studio with inserts and things like that,
nice.
Or even sends.
And so what we're doing then, we have got the time from Bastel essentially inserted into so output.
So I think we're in on out and in number 2. I might need your help with this because I couldn't get it to do wet only. I was hearing dry with it.
You're going to have to change. You have to actually change the time. The time is set to you change the we'll get to that. And then the output of that is then coming and going into this beautiful, incredible device from Erica Synths, the Night Verb, which really is the most playable reverb. Ooh. So stay tuned, folks. We have got some delightful sonic explorations to do. So we are going well. There's lots to do. There is lots to do. We have got lots to cover. So buckle up, everybody. I'm going to try and man the chat, which I have in front of me. So, hello, everybody else who's been joining. I won't go over the names now. I'm sorry, because we're going to get a press on. But I will be taking questions, as is now becoming standard. If you want to ask a question, lead it with a double Q so then that makes it obvious. Then it's the question. Hold back with questions just for the moment, though, because I'm sure you will have questions, and we will endeavour to ask the questions.
Yes, to the best of my ability.
Actually, here's a good question. What's it called when you're overwhelmed by your equipment?
Option paralysis.
Yeah, option paralysis.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do then, with the crick, is we're going to try and demystify it. Understand the layout of it.
Try and make it a little bit more cuddly, I guess. So I think The main things to kind of point out with the oscillator section. Let's start there.
Yeah.
So the scissor is kind of presented more of a fully fledged master oscillator, if you want to call it that. So you have 4 individual waveforms. You've got sine, triangle, ramp, square, pulse, whatever you want to call it. And they are available as individual sources on the pin matrix. So I'm just going to send those all to output 1, which is what we're listening to. And I can then fade those up. I'll bring our master level up. So what you're listening to there is the sine wave with a variable shape on it. And I can do the same with the triangle, so that's variable shape, all just as clean. And that's your ramp. And then that's your pulse. So standard fare at the moment.
Standard fare at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is where we get into the DNA oscillators. So these are a little bit different. The scissor works bipolar. All the waveforms go both above and below 0. The positive DNA just goes between 0 and the positive peak, let's say. And then the negative DNA goes from 0 to the negative trough, let's say. So if I have all of this switch kind of area here set to 0, set to normal, set to off, whatever you want to call it, you can just listen to these waveforms if I send them to the output. So you'll notice they are a little bit lower in level because we've essentially got half the amplitude. And then if I bring in the negative DNA as well, so those are your triangle waves, a kind of positive rectified sine, negative rectified sine, and then ramps. So again, all sounds quite normal at the moment. So if we want to start hearing the effects of what the recombination process is, trying to make these kind of weird waveforms up from the trio.
Shall we grab an oscilloscope as well?
Have you got one?
I have.
That would be is it easy?
Yeah, it's to your left there.
Whoa! Oh, that's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do we need for that? USB. And
it should just work.
Is it battery?
Yeah, battery.
Ah!
Yeah. So we can hold that to the camera and we can.
Good old cool game.
Yeah, let's put it into oscillator mode.
Oh, that is, we're picking something up. Yeah, let me pop this on. Just output 4. So.
Because then this might be quite interesting. Then we can see what's happening.
Yeah. So if I. Is that gonna?
I'll see if I can.
We got. Not picking anything up on that.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. I think this lead might be a bit dodgy. Let me get
a fresh lead.
Yeah. Got plenty down here.
You got some here as well. There you go.
Perfect. Wondering if that one.
I'm having a lot of mini jack Eurorack cable failures actually. And
they can go, yeah.
And it's one of those things. I always think it's me. What do you want to do?
Just change the range of
range. Okay, yeah,
Is that
yeah.
easy? Oh yeah, lovely. Oh, it's dead easy. So, and then can we put it into DC mode? Get rid of the AC coupling. Oh, this thing's amazing. Look at that.
I don't know.
I might just chuck it into the second input because I think that is.
Oh yeah, at the top. At the top, yeah, you can change. I remember now. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
So you'd go. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that?
This would have been a good idea. So we got this set up before, really, but I only just thought of it now.
Wait a minute.
So
how do you work this?
just while we're getting this sorted, just a few things. Please consider subscribing and liking liking this stream. I think that's a good thing. I still don't know exactly why, but everyone seems like that you have to say it. But I think there's something we should just mention though first before we go too deep, and that is to do with the availability.
Yes.
Just to clear this up, because so the initial batch is all sold, is all effectively accounted for.
It's accounted for to retailers. I don't know how many of those have sold through to customers, but there's almost 30. I think there's 28, 27 that are going out to retailers any minute now. I've got all the synths bagged up on a shelf at the workshop. I'm currently waiting for the cardboard boxes. In which they're going. So they are coming very soon. Just waiting for the supplier that told me it was going to be a 4-day lead time has currently taken 3 weeks. So
frustrating. So if you're waiting for one, it's the cardboard boxes, would you believe, that we're waiting for?
We're getting there.
There's a comment here.
Yes.
Love your remix of Boo Snared.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That was a joy to do. It was always fun with the Boo peeps.
Yeah, so, they're lush. They are.
I think this is. Oh, is it run?
No.
Cool. Okay. So
yes,
we've got this now.
We got action. I'll get this on.
Okay, let's do this.
This?
You can hopefully see that on that green trace we've got what is a couple of triangle waves. Sorry. So if I get that into unison, hopefully you might see the beating. Right, vaguely. But if I get this to spit out the pulse wave from the scissor as well.
Just turning it up a little bit.
Let's just get that on the other. Oh, can I look at several traces at once? Not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. Oh no, maybe I can. There we go. So I'll just mute the square.
Yeah.
And try and get this to hopefully trigger. There we go. Okay. Bring this up. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to put the expo lock on. And what this does is it sends anything on the exponential frequency bus, so essentially the pitch, from the scissor oscillator down to the two DNA oscillators. So should now hopefully hear, if I get these in tune, as I'm increasing the frequency on the scissor, it's changing the frequency on the two DNAs. So if I then enable the sync lock, we've then got the two DNA oscillators synced to the pulse. And then if I enable scissor, what this switch does here is it sends the corresponding positive and negative kind of sides of the pulse wave to amplitude modulate these waveforms. So then you can see what we're talking about on the scope. You've got the kind of proper recombination effect going, where you could have maybe, I don't know, 3 peaks of a triangle, 2 troughs of a triangle, and then I can mix that in and be, I don't know, ramps or sines instead, whatever I want. And then the final switch I've got here is pulse width skew, which ever so slightly changes the frequency relationship between the DNA oscillators.
Look at that.
Based on the pulse width. So you get all this nice pushing and pulling of what's going on kind of timbrally in that waveform.
Just a quick question coming in from the booze, which is to do with the camera actually. It's a Sony AX53.
It is very nice.
And it's yeah. Okay, let's get back to it.
So then I can start kind of modulating all of those bits. So,
Right.
Down here you've got all of the kind of oscillator destinations on the matrix. So,
Yep.
I don't know, given the PW skew, if I send this function generator over here, the first one,
Yep.
you can just see the LED there. If I send that into shape of the scissor, if I then bring these back up and bring the modulation depth up a little bit, speed that up.
Yeah. The scissor concept, that really shows the scissor concept very, very clearly. Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a thing of as soon as you've seen it on a scope, it becomes a lot more intuitive. It's that kind of thing where you really need to.
Ooh.
And then you can just kind of concentrate listening to it. Which is,
yes. So. Yeah. Go on in. Have a little play whilst we watch.
Okay, so I'm going to get a bit more involved with the modulation now. I'm going to do probably some. In fact, let me take it from scissor. I'm going to FM the DNAs with the sine wave from the scissor. So you already start getting.
It times out so quick, this oscillator does. Look at that.
So just through playing with the FM there, all these kind of funny things happening. And if I turn the sine wave shaper on, I'll already get all of that weirdness. Make another feedback path by sending the DNAs back in to modulate the shape. And we've still got our function generator there as well.
Ooh.
So yeah. And you can do funny things with the AM of each waveform. So each wave has its own exponential law VCA, so you can do nice things with, with that as well. So if I just send a couple more.
Oh, there's a quick question coming in, Finn.
Yeah.
Do the colours of the pins have different level of attenuations?
No, they don't.
No.
So
yeah,
don't forget all the EMS stuff. I was talking to a couple of people about this, where they said, well, what's the point in having this because it's a shorting matrix? So it's not necessarily a shorting matrix because you can sum on it. It's active and it's mixing behind the scenes.
Okay.
I don't use the kind of TS style pins as you'd find on the Gilmetti matrix boards, I guess, whatever you want to call them, mainly because the whole point in kind of trying to figure out how to do these pin matrices in-house was to use a pin that is not a specialist part. I don't know if you want to get that on the camera, but these are just 2mm banana jacks. So is that focused in there?
Nearly.
So these are just like a miniature version of what you'd find, on your old Buckler or Surge systems. But this is a standardized part, right?
Right.
So you're never going to be paying, well, unless you go super deluxe, you're never going to be paying more than £1 for this part.
Nice.
Which is, Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing that gets me with the Gilmetti stuff is that it's £10 or so for a pin. I think last time I looked.
Okay.
It starts getting really expensive, especially when you've got like a matrix of this size.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the matrix, we should just point out that this here. It's not a speaker. It's not a speaker. It's just a place to hold it.
It's your little pin park.
It's a pin park.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. In the pin park.
So yeah,
okay.
That's where you can put your spare pins.
The question about how many pins does it come with?
25.
25.
So that was based on, there are 5 colours, but also in most of the patching I was doing with this throughout, I guess, designing it, testing it. I found most patches were coming into about 20, 22. So you should be able to do nice things with 25 pins. We do sell spares if you need more, or you can just go to hopefully any good electronics retailer, supplier.
Hence the advantage of this.
Exactly. And just buy some 2mm banana plugs.
So you've got some history, haven't you, with Matrix? You've had a few different Matrix products out.
Yes. Yeah.
As Future Sound Systems.
Yeah.
And this feels like an evolution of that. Would that be fair? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was funny because, so again, going back to this whole idea came to me a good few years back now. It probably will have been 2015-ish. And to see if I could make this technology work, that would be very simple to make, wouldn't need to spend hundreds on just a matrix board. And it worked, but what I had was just a little proof of concept 6x6 pin matrix thing. I had no idea what to do with it. So funnily that you had Tom on the show last week, because he came to the workshop and said, you should turn this into a module. Really? Do people want to... You've got patch cables. Turn it into a module. Spoke to Ben Wilson, DivKid. Ben, what am I going to do with this? Turn it into a module. Right, okay. So put some jacks around it, turned it into a module, and then after about 10 minutes of playing with it, I completely understood this is something a bit different, because you can mix with it, you can split with it, and you don't necessarily need to start changing all of your I/O and all of that stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was going to mention this earlier, actually. I mean, sadly no longer with us, but Peter Rayberg, who was a good friend and performer with Future Sound Systems modules, he had an MTX9 in his rig, and everything that he wanted to change patching wise always went into that, and he was just spending all of the rerouting was just done on the pins. He had on that module, you've got like scribble strips that you can just dry wipe onto, so he had everything written down, and he had his banana pins in a Pelly case.
What, a Pelly case just for the banana pins?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So and his little SD cards for his radio music, I think. So that is kind of, I think, what anyone should aspire to if they're using pins. But yeah, it was that kind of a bit of a revelation, really, because I had played with the VCS3, but just thought like that it's pin matrix, and also the way that at least the original VCS3 design works, even if you're using the tight tolerance pitch pins, as soon as you start summing things together, all of your tuning that you've spent ages setting up goes completely to pot.
Wow.
So
because the pins have different variants.
It's more that the matrix is passive, so it's not buffered.
So it's just just dropping.
So this is the thing with Crick. It's fully buffered. It's active. Everything gets. There's a gain stage after every single destination, essentially, a summing stage at least.
Okay.
So the only place where you might hear things going slightly strange is summing together the pulse outputs of the function generators, just based on the way that they work. But we'll get into that later. There's plenty you can do with those that's very nice, and it's it's nowhere near the kind of like, I just add a bit of vibrato to this on the VCS3, and then you've completely lost your keyboard. It's like, great. Okay.
Well,
but yeah.
Okay. Well, so you've shown us then the kind of the scissor
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah.
and so obviously we will be returning to that, but
Yeah.
just like let's kind
going.
of going on a tour then. So
Yeah.
we
So let's just take what we were listening to, and let's just put that through the filter. So I've got the 2 pins of the DNA there, and I'm going to put those into the filter input, and then let's just listen to the filter mix, which is there. And if I bring that up, I should also mention, when you've got this scissor enabled, at 12 o'clock on these waveform levels, that's where you've got the square wave kicking in. If you take it above that, you don't hear the pulse wave anymore. So you're just letting the waveform in completely unmodulated, unscissored. And if you want to modulate that, you can. So you can pass through the AM into, full, I don't know what you call it, full stream. But yeah, so we've got that sound going through the filter. So the filter is pretty much taken straight out of the Timbrel Sculptor module that we have in Eurorack. I should say, the kind of oscillator section, it's based on the recombination engine module, but it's pretty much been completely re-engineered. So we're using different oscillator ICs where there's just quite a lot of different things that are happening in this, which were kind of based on, things learnt from the original. So whereas this kind of pretty much is the Fill 4 module. So that's pretty much the low pass, just being the low pass. There's a bunch of things on the filter which do very, I think, different things to most other synthesizers. So perhaps this isn't particularly different, but I don't know of many other synthesizers that have a dedicated FM control for this. I know there are things like on the Odyssey and the 2600 and things like that, but this pot here takes whatever's being fed into the audio input and takes it to modulate the frequency of the filter. So you can turn the actual output drive down and just listen to the self-oscillation of the filter. And that's just it being FM'd by the audio input. You can then turn that down and we pretty much don't hear it anymore. So that already gives you quite an interesting thing to play with, particularly when you consider that the DNA oscillators are biased, essentially. So one is above 0 and one is below 0. So depending on what you're doing with the positive and the negative sections of your waveform, that will change what the FM is essentially doing, That's also, I should mention, that's on an attenuverter. So you can push and pull that between positive and negative. So that's the low pass.
There's a lot of character in there.
That's the band pass, which is nice, and especially with the FM gets really vocal. And then the high pass.
So the outputs of the filters are all kind of summing then in this.
Yeah. So
that's kind of nice.
On the Matrix, you just have a filter mix. Right. So you can't necessarily access each individual filter state, but you can, again, modulate the levels of these with these level destinations down here. So we can take...
Gotcha.
Take that envelope for the low pass. And then I'll take the third function generator for the high pass. So that alone kind of lets you do some really kind of wild things. I'll just take the fourth function generator into the band pass as well.
Wow.
Yeah. get something a little bit less hectic on, maybe. So you can have all of these. It's kind of the thing that I really kind of wanted to do with this was just say like, yeah, okay, you can work with this melodically, it's absolutely fine, but you can have a kind of initial synth patch that is just always moving, and you just so much motion in it, and you know that from your oscillators, all of this from the filter. You know, and if you wanted to if you wanted to bring more modulation into this as well, you can through the external inputs. So they're all DC coupled. They work fine for CV. You know, so if you run out of modulation with the function generators with the sample and hold, you've got 4 inputs.
4 ins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. So okay, well, let's continue with our little tour then. So well, actually, I'm just going to get in on here a moment. I want to have a little look at the. So we got those switches at the end of the filter section.
Yes,
there.
we do. So these start to really bring in the kind of. I was going to say character. It's a bit more than character. So the first thing is there's like a booklet style wavefolder that is switchable and controllable. I might just revert that to a sine wave on the input. But I'll keep it under the shape control. So we've got what have I done there? There we go. So here we are just sending that into the folder before it hits the filter.
Yep.
I'm just going to remove that shape mod because that's what we're hearing there more than the folding.
I'm just going to answer this question.
Yeah.
Are any effects on board? No, this is an entirely analog synthesizer. So yeah.
I may as well spill the beans now because I think I've already told people this anyway. So this is a synthesizer.
Yeah.
There will be units in the works to complement this. So I'm thinking along the lines of like the Roland System 100, where you could take the synthesizer, expand a bit, use that as a fully fledged synthesizer. You could take the sequencer bit and use that as a fully fledged sequencer and the mixer and all that. So this will not be alone, hopefully.
You heard it here. Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
I've got to get busy on CAD really, but but already got a few ideas, and there are no effects, but the thinking is that there are enough ins and outs on this, with enough pliability, compliance to other things, where you can bring guitar pedals into it. I've been using loads of really cheap, horrible pedals with it. That's been really good fun actually.
And also we do have some
more nicer pedals here.
We have got the beautiful Night Verb. Go on.
Bring that back on. What have I done with? God, that is nice, isn't it? It's quite nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's the thing about the Night Verb is it really wants you to play with it. Yeah. And reverbs tend to not always be the most fun things to hands on. The digital ones click when you change the. But I think with the Night Verb, one of the things that makes that, it's just a single algorithm. So normally you'd expect a digital reverb to be made up of multiple algorithms, plates, holes, rooms, etc.
Interesting.
It's just the one algorithm, and then they've made this algorithm incredibly flexible, and it can go from tiny to absolutely massive. So
it's a bit kind of along the lines, I guess, of like the herb verb and all that, where it is a playable thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it is kind of It's lovely.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
Yeah,
well
yeah. I will be doing more on this very soon. I've promised Gertz a bass through it video. Yes, because bass and reverb.
Bass and reverb, you don't tend
not meant to. Oh, it's
Yeah.
great though. But actually, it's got some great tonal things, because you've got the low and high damp, but then on the outputs, you've got just like a bass and treble sort of shelf.
I mean, that is kind of perfect, isn't it? If you're going to put something like a bass through it,
Yeah,
so you can cut all the
the low and just
first couple of octaves, and then top.
Yeah, nice. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
Let's we're definitely going to be in for the long haul tonight.
Yeah.
So
strap in.
Strap in. Okay, so that filters. So those switches, then that's what we were looking at with the folders.
Yeah. So that's the first position of the folder is.
Ooh.
I kind of want to leave that on. But...
Yeah, take it out. keep it driving out.
So we've got that. We can then also sling it in post, which is really gnarly, because you've then got kind of every single gain stage of the filter controlling really the wavefolding. So bring that down a little bit. And obviously the filter will change. So there you can hear that the resonance is being folded.
Yes.
Ooh. So it really will, bring the FM in on that.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah.
That's the other thing with the filter. So it will oscillate down to about 2 hertz.
Yeah.
1 hertz, 2 hertz. So you can get all these weird kind of like throbbing effects out of it, essentially.
Quick question.
Quite nice.
Quick question.
Yes.
Did this take any influence from the Brunswick or the Malevolent? So we we tapped on that earlier, but
I mean, yes and no. It's kind of, it's one of those things that's quite interesting doing this, because you imbibe. I wrote this in the manual, actually. You imbibe what you listen to, I think, in the design process of this. And I am still a bit mystified by this, because it starts going into like the hippieisms of Bob Moog. Have you ever seen that documentary where they follow Bob around for like a couple of weeks or something? And he does all these amazing bits to camera where, he'll be holding like the Voyager circuit board up, and he's like, I can feel everything that's going on in this. I know, and I can feel. And at the time I first saw that, I was both in awe and also just thinking, really? But you do start to kind of like, there's something else going on, I think, subconsciously when you design this stuff, I think, where what you're listening to, what you're kind of aiming for does come through in the electronics. And I know that with Malevolent, it was kind of like, I want this to sound like it came from the late 70s. I wanted it to sound like something where I was kind of trying to imagine what it must have been like to be in Korg, Roland, Yamaha at that point in time. And you know that there are things going on with Moog. You know that there are just about things going on with Oberheim and all of that, but you don't really know whether that's what you should do or not. So you know that you've got an oscillator, you know that you've got a filter, you know you've got a VCA, but what happens if it's not quite the same? Yeah. So that's kind of where Malevolent comes from, and then it ended up having this like incredibly gritty character to it, because it was doing things, particularly with gain, that were quite extreme. This doesn't really take influence from that so much. It was spurred on by doing Malevolent and then thinking, well, I've done a synth. I can probably do one that's, really no compromise.
Yeah.
You know, and this is essentially what this is. So it's been made with, or at least put together, thinking this is what I would want to see in a standalone synthesizer, that it doesn't necessarily have everything, and I'm still quite a believer in that you don't need everything.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Effects, for instance.
Well, yeah, but also kind of things like this has no dedicated LFO because it has function generators. And
Right, gotcha.
my belief is that I think you can do enough with those to do all of your modulation.
Right.
You know, you've already heard them a little bit.
And they are
already.
cyclable, aren't they, anyway?
Yeah, cyclable, and
so
can work on audio, which we'll hear later.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we are. Let's have a look. We are like, so this tour then. Where have we got to? We've just got to the end of the folders.
Yeah. So we are now back to just completely dry, not for very long. I'm actually going to take that out of the sign. I'm going to pop that. And listen to this sawtooth from the scissor going into the filter now. And the next thing that we start doing is playing with the. If I just take those out, just trying to figure out what we're listening to. Yeah, there we go. That's more like it. So the resonance path has a few of these non-linear things that are switchable in and out of the resonance path. It has its own folder, which is not the same as the input-output folder. Oh. This is kind of booklet style, if anyone's into the electronics, deadband circuitry stuff, summing together and making all of these nice patterns. This is the Lockhart design, so using a couple of transistors to try and approximate the third harmonic. So frequency tripling, I think, is what it was originally referred to as. In the resonance path, you do not hear that.
Yeah.
In the resonance path, you just hear this. So it kind of blows the gain of the filter out completely. But, in fact, I'm just going to sling another oscillator in with that. It's particularly nice on the band pass as well, I think. So you get this different character very quickly out of it. But then again, if you stick the rectifier in, which is in the resonance path again, you change that again. And you have control over if that rectifier is in full or in half wave. Now, it's not necessarily doing what you would expect from hearing a rectifier circuit, mainly because it's on the resonance path, so it's not really affecting the input or the output. It's in the core of the filter, as it were. But it does do... It just does these nice things, and it changes the character quite dramatically. Again, if you start looking at this on a scope, you start to see the asymmetry that the rectifier brings in.
We're going to have to do it, aren't we?
We can do. I'm not really sure if you'll necessarily see it.
Oh, I don't want to derail us.
No, okay.
No, let's...
It's subtle. It's really subtle.
Okay.
But you can see it, and you start getting into the kind of more like Korg MS-20 stuff. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, the manual for this thing is going to be ring bound and weigh 5 kilograms. How'd you get on writing manuals? I mean, it's like with something like this.
We've got a first revision on the website, which is
good.
For the moment, it's really just a step-by-step overview of what each kind of block does.
Right.
That's going to get fleshed out in the coming weeks. You know, there'll be patch examples. What I'm really hoping to do is, for each patch example, there will be an accompanying video, which plays the patch, and then I also kind of break it down a little bit and all of that. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
Smash that like button. All of that. But yeah, so that's what I'm kind of hoping to do. There'll also be a bit more of a kind of general overview and a bit of philosophy and maybe a bit of even passive ranting. Okay. And then the last thing that we have on there is just a volt per octave follow. So on the synth, you have in this mini jack IO volt per octave input, which is global. Yeah. So that will that is actually normaled to the frequency CV inputs for the oscillators here. So in this mode, we're just controlling everything from the oxy that we haven't even touched yet. No. And then a global gate, which then sends to the individual cyclical function generator trigger inputs there. So yes, cyclical
function generator. I was wondering what the CFG was.
So that is what the CFG is.
No.
So yes,
that's where we're at now. Then in the tour,
I
can count 4 of these. Are they all the same?
The core of them is all the same. The first 2 have individual modulation over the attack and decay.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd and 4th just have a rate modulation. So with these, you kind of keep the shape that you have set on the attack and decay, and it's just controlling both of them in parallel, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to unpatch everything and start fresh.
So I mean, you say there's no LFOs, but with all of these, are all cyclable. Yeah. So what would make them not LFOs then?
Well, it's just I mean they can be LFOs, but they're not LFOs in the respect of you have a triangle source and you have a sawtooth source and you have a square source. Of course. So what we're actually going to do first is listen to it, which might seem odd. So
we're listening to the CFG one.
Yeah. So I calibrate these so fresh out the box, the maximum without any modulation, the maximum frequency they will cycle at is about 3.6K. Okay. So it's high enough.
Higher, yeah.
And then all the way down there, you're not going to see that change. No. You get about 5 minutes on the attack and then 15 on the decay.
15 minutes on the decay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
nice.
It will do. The spec really in my head was, can it do a cycle per side of vinyl? So for all the ambient heads who are just patch it up, put it through a massive reverb,
So Tom from Synth Anatomy has just joined us.
Hey,
Hello,
Tom.
Yes.
So that's that. Let's just rebuild this a little bit. I'm going to take the pulse wave.
This is a good one. A voodoo pin matrix would be cool. Whenever you put a pin in, some synth head somewhere twitches.
It feels a bit like that sometimes. Right, okay, so I'm going to take... let's listen to the filter again. And I'm going to stick CFG1 to modulate the cutoff, CFG2 to modulate the level of the low pass. So we haven't even touched a VCA at the minute because all the filter states are on VCAs, right?
Okay.
So I'll bring up the FM. So you're hearing there that it's, doing essentially what you'd expect from that arrangement, right? What is nice about these is that there is individual setting of the slope law, I guess, per attack and decay. So
it's an exponential
logarithmic.
Yeah.
In the middle it's linear. So you might hear this better on the VCA, I guess. So I've just set the attack to exponential. So you really don't hear much of an attack anymore. Very quick. And then a logarithmic attack. It's a bit more kind of squared off at the top. then same for the decay.
So just give it a little bit more level.
Yeah. But where this gets really nice is particularly modulating the filter. Just the exponential.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Right.
Wow, look at all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have the kind of slope output on the matrix, but you also have a pulse output, which.
And I was just noticing then you were jamming with the decay knob then, and that is one of the that is a modulation source. Yeah.
So I could even set. Let's take the square output of this CFG2 to modulate the decay rate of CFG1. And I've brought up the bandpass as well. In fact, let me try that with the high pass instead.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh yes.
Okay, so you get into all kinds of weird territory with that. I can then take the pulse output of the CFG1 to modulate the scissor oscillator. I think. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it might be that it's that. Yeah, there we go. Just too sharp. So there you're hearing that we've got modulation of the pulse wave as well. So you get into all of this kind of quite wild territory. As I said, like, it doesn't have an LFO, but do you need one? You know, this is the beauty of function generators.
Yeah.
So, and again, when you're using these as envelopes, they're not the traditional ADSR envelope. So if you're a keys player, you might be a bit like, oh. But what you can start doing is stacking the envelopes. You've got different modes, so you can cycle them, or you can just use them as attack decay. So it's a one shot and you get the attack and decay. Or you can stick it into ASD, which, as long as the gate is high,
you've got the sustain.
You've got the sustain.
Yeah.
You can set the level, and you can combine all of these together. So you can kind of get into a bit of an ADSR-ish territory.
Is there any
stacking them.
Is there any normaling, or do you have to patch?
The normaling that is there is up here with the mini jacks. So you have the normaling over the volt per octave inputs and the normaling over the gates.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything has to be patched.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, even audio-wise, if I take that pin out, we're not listening to anything. You know.
Right.
So,
yeah, the matrix is
it's the kind of core of
the
it.
core. Yeah.
So, let's have a look, I guess, at the sample and hold as well. So if I'm gonna move the low pass VCA modulation to CFG4, and the pulse of this is connected up to this switch on the sample and hold section.
Okay.
So you can set the hold being triggered by the square output, the pulse output of CFG4.
Yeah.
And on the signal, we're just getting noise. So your traditional kind of random generator, I guess, from the sample and hold, and just stick that into the filter frequency, and hopefully, there you go.
Oh yeah.
You've got your standard filter sample and hold thingy.
Yeah,
But what is nice about this is that you can start to play around with this quite a lot. So if I just steal this patch cable. other source for the sample and hold is input 4. So I've got a patch lead here for input 4. I'm going to patch that back into output 3. So now what happens is you can assign any source to output 3, and we're bringing it back in on input 4. And we're now sampling the sine wave from the scissor oscillator, so you can kind of hear that up and down effect. If I change the frequency of that, you can just about hear that pattern change. Yeah, there you go. So you can kind of get into all of this, you know, you can patch different sample sources and hold sources in, so the hold can also be controlled by the gate. And if you wanted to trigger this separately to all the CFGs, you would just have to plug different sources into the CFG trigger inputs, and you're essentially using the gate input as its own sample and hold input.
Okay.
That's not the wind, isn't it?
I just want to point something out. The unperson is just saying hello. I love the unperson's music.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I believe not necessarily a stranger to this either. Giving something away there.
Okay, no, good.
Yes.
Okay, so we've looked. Okay, I think we've gone over all the basics now.
I think the only thing you haven't seen is the VCA.
But
it's a VCA. I mean, the one thing I could do maybe is if we want some changes in the dynamic with that envelope that was opening and closing the filter VCA, we can actually use the VCA to change the amplitude, the modulation depth, essentially, of that envelope. So what I'll do is I'll take that sample and hold and get that to modulate the VCA. I'll bring that all the way up. Also on this one, it's worth saying you can switch this in between linear and exponential modes. So that can be handy when you're treating CV, can be handy for just passing audio through it and getting different kind of percussive effects out of it.
Yeah.
And then if I use the output of the VCA to modulate the low pass level, and hopefully... is that doing the thing? No, it's not. So, where have I gone wrong with that? Let's just have a look. If I take that to the noise... Oh, it's because I've muted the output.
There we go.
That'll be why. So, hopefully... It's always something, isn't it?
So do you find that... Do you prefer to just like reset it every time you come to it? Will you have like a kind of starting, or do you just like to pick it up from? Because there's so many variables, I guess.
I mean, to be honest, I'm going to route that to that as well.
We got some reverb now.
Yeah.
It's got a bit more gain.
Nice, isn't it? Oh, lovely.
See, that's what's cool.
Oh yeah. That's really nice.
Yeah, have a little fiddle with it, just because this is a. You can send MIDI. You can control.
Fantastic.
You can control a size via via MIDI. So if you freeze it, you can then play the freeze.
Amazing.
So, yeah,
that's nice.
It's cool. Get some delay.
Yeah, should we try the bass though? I'm not sure really how I had it running.
Okay, so what happens with it's a little bit funny with the bass. The time it's like a kind of 1-for-1 in its default. So you have to then play with the time, the course control.
So the course control.
Yeah.
you know what the levels is?
Levels is the levels of the additional heads.
Ah, I see.
And then so then I think then you've got a spacing control, and then so if so if levels is down, you'll just hear the one playback
so
head.
That might actually be where I was going wrong before. So if I now bring the
Oh, here's a question, Finn. I think it's a pertinent one. So are the pins stackable, linkable?
They're not.
They're not.
The one thing that you can do is you can make a banana cable up.
Right.
And start connecting different nodes to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really found that is that exciting.
Okay, interesting.
So, the other thing that might mean, but I don't think that is what is meant there, is that everything is mixable. So, you know, for example, here we're mixing the 3 sources into one destination. So you can have every single destination, every single source going into one destination if you really want to.
Right.
You know, kind of
hence the mixable. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, nice.
Play with the night verb a little bit as you're doing that.
If I just get that going.
Wagyu is saying it's good to know that plugging in banana cables won't break the synth.
No, it just does kind of meh stuff. It's not that exciting. I thought it was going to be really cool, like 3-dimensional patching, and it's not that amazing, really.
Wow.
It's just like making a bunch of connections at the same time, but you don't really have any control over them. That's quite nice, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
down a little. Okay. Yeah.
The other thing I should mention is that you can kind of get all of these CFGs to chain off one another. So the pulse is switchable between like a comparator, where you get a square wave depending on whether it's past 50% of its range, or you get an end of decay trigger. So that can be nice in, let's show you what this can really do actually, because we haven't really touched this. So you can also use the function generator kind of as a like rhythmic subdivider.
Okay.
Actually, even a pitch one as well. I should get into that too.
Couple of questions quickly.
Yeah.
What's the voltage for the pins matrix?
The voltage. So it doesn't necessarily follow a voltage so much. These are just routing signals around. So internally, the scissor oscillator goes from +5 to -5, and then the DNA oscillators go 0 to +5, and then 0 to -5.
Right.
The filter is whatever it is, and the function generators go from 0 to 10. So it's Eurorack friendly. It will trigger off anything, I think 2.5 volts upward.
Right.
So yeah, it should play along nicely with everything.
Yeah, nice.
Everything's volt per octave oscillator standard wise. V gates obviously on the.
And just to reiterate, no MIDI, all pure analog. Yeah.
Yeah. There is white noise.
Ah yes. So yes, that's the question. Let's just
pop that in there.
Look at that. Where do we find our noise?
So our noise is just up here.
Oh, it's got a separate noise source.
There we go. Yeah. So it's a noise level.
Oh. And then that noise then is on. Yeah.
Just there on the matrix.
On the matrix, yeah. Okay. Lush. Yeah. Got to have noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I was going to say with this whole function generator subdivision thing, this will actually work really nicely here. I can take that pulse out of
I'm going to go dry. I'm just going to take it dry again.
Yeah, sure. And now, if I'm just... Note that I haven't got this in cycle mode anymore.
Oh, yeah. So that's the comparator then?
No, it's taking a trigger from... That's really nice, sorry.
Yes.
Taking a trigger from CFG4 into the trigger of CFG2. And the attack does not re-trigger. The decay will, but the attack does not. And the reason is you can then get these to work as subdividing things. So let's take CFG3 and let's do a trick with this that I really, really like. So if we just leave that burbling away, I'm going to just preview the positive DNA oscillator. So we've got that's our pitch all the way up there. And I'm going to send the ramp of that into the trigger of CFG3, and you might be able to see the LED is lit. There you go, you can just about see that the LED is lit. So if I start bringing the attack down, you might see that it becomes a little bit brighter.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to put it in ASD mode because it's a little bit more stable. And I'm going to actually bring just the output of CFG3 to the main output. And when I start sweeping the attack, you'll hear all the different subdivisions coming through. So what we can then do is modulate the attack of that with the rate.
And get some pseudo sequencing, I suppose.
Yes, and it's all locked in harmonically. So
right.
Yeah.
So if we're changing the master, if you change it, everything will scale.
Yes. Yeah. So I've just routed that to the filter now. If I bring the level up, there you go.
So the young person was asking, does it get as dirty as the PWM stuff? Well, this was stuff we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it does it in a different way.
In a different way. Because that was getting gnarly then.
Yeah, so if I bring in the folder, it's immediately, if I set it to post, there you go. Yeah. And then also the res folder as well. I was going to kind of boost that a little bit. It's just blowing it out, really. There you go. So remember, like, all of this is coming from Crick. There's no sequencing from the Oxy yet.
Nope.
Like, I'm just wondering if we can start bringing that in now.
Oh, yeah.
That might be fun.
Yeah, because that will change. Yeah. Good plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the Oxy plugged in here, the Oxy 1, which is the sequencer du jour, really. I think this is the best sequencer I've ever played around with, I think. I say well, in terms of just how all-encompassing it is, it's a terrific piece of kit. So we can get a sequence on the run.
So
yeah, and then so we can just change octaves there.
Yeah.
And then this is like a piano roll of sorts.
So I need to start dummying it. Dummying the. Yeah, have we got any really short ones?
Short? How short?
Just. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So again, I'm just going to override some of these. I think actually, if I just patch that into 4, we might be alright doing that. There we go. So on this then, how does it work?
Well, I tell you what we'll do is I'm gonna remap it, because I'm gonna set it up instead of just. Well, this is like this is currently like in like it's like a piano roll.
Okay, so if you
and it's locked to a major scale at the moment.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
and then you can you can change. You can move up and down the octaves and stuff here.
Lovely. So if I bring that back, ooh, that's the velocity.
Well, the velocity would only.
Is there a way to change the tempo?
Yeah, change the tempo. Double tap shift, and then the tempo. Yeah.
Lovely. So if I bring that down. I'm going to remove the VCA modulation of
Here's a cool little Oxy trick, right? So we're locked in a sequence at the moment, so let's go minor, small, right? If we hold the track down, actually you can do this, hold that track button down, and then pick another, just...
Whoa, hello!
So you can transpose it in scale.
That's really nice.
Oh, here's a good question.
Yes, so you can. So we have the 3 volt per octave inputs of the different oscillators. So you can use those to assign the pitches however you want. You can even get the filter to work as an oscillator because it will track volt per octave. So you can actually have kind of 4 sine wave-ish things happening here. You've then got, if you assign the scissor to the standalone VCA, you've got VCAs on the 2 other wave shapes and the filter levels. And so you could even have like a 4-note poly. It's going to have to be vaguely sine wavy, but
vaguely sine. Nice. Yeah. I love the little wobble in there.
It's nice, eh? So
wet with that now.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
It must be incredibly gratifying when you conceptualize something and then turn it into reality and then find it really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hugely.
Yeah.
And
maybe when you find new things that were outside of your kind of, you know, just by putting it together and then...
Even just in testing, like calibrating each one of these.
Yeah.
And finding, oh yeah, of course you could use the function generator as a subdivider. Well, you can run that up to audio. Okay, so you've got like a kind of subharmonic thing there.
Yeah.
But hang on a minute, I've got 4 of them.
Yeah.
So I can then have, you know, well, I can have 2 of them doing the subdivisions, doing, you know, subharmonics, and then the other 2 modulating those. So you've got all these moving things, and then you've got, you know, sequence or keyboard coming into that, playing up and down. You just get it's finding that balance, kind of as I was saying earlier, between having something that's very alive and very full of motion, but also keeping it playable, and making sure that, you know, you can stick a melody into it and get something that's tuneful. You know, you can make a massive racket with this, obviously. I mean, yeah, but you can also, you know. It's just nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just needs that, doesn't it? Yeah, because
Yeah.
ages doing that.
Wow.
Oh, that's rather nice.
So good time for questions now.
Yeah.
If anyone has questions, we've been trying our best to answer as we're going along. But
The beverage.
beverage.
Ooh.
So in case you weren't in the stream earlier, we're talking about this is just at the verge of shipping. It's just waiting on the packaging.
Cardboard boxes.
So
yeah. Everything else is ready to go. Got a bunch of, well, the way that they're arranged, open the door, walk in, and you just see all the Merle, which is the company in Glasgow that have done the end cheeks.
Oh, speaking of the end cheeks, I think they actually we can get close
we can
up.
look at them. So this is Merle, who we were put in touch with by Alex at Signal Sounds, who does a hell of an amazing job keeping our products, you know, out, getting them, you know, to retailers. And he said, well, my friend runs Merle, who make these amazing designed kind of countertops and tabletops and things like that.
This isn't a print, is it? This is...
I still don't really know what it is.
Okay. Are they the same on each one?
They are not. No,
they're not.
Every single one is completely different.
It's like, this one's got Winnie the Pooh with measles on it.
Yeah. A little acid cat, almost. So, yeah, they're all completely different. I think most people that have seen them have been really into it. I love them. I think they're amazing. And when they came, you know, through our door, I was just like, this is the future. Every single synthesizer manufacturer needs this.
I did that colour matches though.
Yes.
Is that deliberate?
Yeah, so that was spec'd.
That was spec'd, yeah.
To, you know, the kind of livery of Crick.
And speaking of the livery, what is it? What is it? Because it's green or blue. What is it?
It's the as spec'd by Jamie. It's the Renault Twingo Mark One. Whatever this is,
right? Renault Twingo. Really?
Yeah, that was like his design philosophy for a long. And I mean, it is great. It's super striking. Like you understand why they went for those super bold colours, because it does look. Yeah. You know, but now I'm trying to figure out like what's the next thing. I mean, particularly thinking maybe a sequencer, and this is terrible because I've forgotten her name, and that is kind of at the root of the whole point of the problem, which is really bad of me. But there was a kind of third, I guess, member of the DNA discovery team, and she was kind of... I can't remember if it's Rosalind or Rosamund.
Rosamund. Is it?
Is it Rosamund? We're going to do a quick Google here. This is really bad because it completely shows up the whole argument for her being written out of this thing.
But this proves her point as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
Is it?
No, because she was working with Crick and with Watson.
Yeah. Oh, the chatties will be able to help us here.
Rosalind Franklin.
Rosalind Franklin.
So thinking of maybe calling the next thing Rosa, and if it's going to be Rosa, then obviously it needs to be a pink. So. Thoughts in the chat.
About the end cheeks.
Reclaimed
wood. Oh, an amalgamation of old wood bottles.
I saw they were doing something with like the paint off ceramics as well. So I think there is a recycled element to it, which is really nice. But yeah, it's I mean what these are is a composite called Hymax, HIMACS. So it's this kind of synthetic composite thing that is used for kitchen worktops. So it's incredibly robust. You know, you have to work really hard to dink it. I haven't dinged it yet. And I did take a sample and I really tried and I couldn't. So I'm really pleased with how they came out, because it was a bit of a mystery. We kind of put the order in and just went, okay, don't know how it's going to turn out.
I mean,
so yeah, and
it looks like nothing else. I mean, there's nothing else on the market that remotely looks like this. So it's got a very, very strong, visual appeal, which is great.
Thank you.
Many things don't.
Well, I mean, it's. You know, we realise that it's not, because it's not like other things, people probably will go a bit like, but pretty much everything about this is modular in the way that it's constructed. So, you know, we are conscious of, the fact that we could do a run where it's a different coloured panel, it's a different coloured enclosure. The Merle is completely different. We go to the Merle guys and we say, we want black, white, and 3 shades of grey in between,
Right.
And they can do that. So, if there are people out there who absolutely hate cyan, turquoise, sea,
Twingo,
marine, whatever this is, we can go, all the prototypes were done in white, which I personally think is a bit too clinical. I might put in an order over the next couple of months for a kind of prototype black to see what it's like. Yeah. But everything is changeable and variable and modular in its construction. So
because I mean, this isn't like a mass market product. So it does. There is a little bit of leeway in that respect. So if people did get in touch and ask that,
I mean, that's the thing. If enough people petition us, that's the thing. Talking about availability. Once this first run go out, I mean, they've all been spoken for at least up until dealers. So if there are any dealers watching who haven't put an order in and want to, first off, thank you very much. Second of all, it's probable that you're going to have to wait until March next year. So Gravart in Poland, who make our lovely enclosures, they do such a good job that everyone knows that they do a good job and everyone uses them. So they're absolutely swept off their feet at the moment, I think it's fair to say. So we can do it. it won't be an instant thing by any means.
No, but I mean, this isn't like and this isn't a kind of impulse purchase type of instrument, is it?
No, there's that as well. Yeah.
Well, I think we've just about come to, I think, the end of the show, really, Finn. I think we've had a fantastic exploration of this. Unless there's anything else you want to... We've gone over so much now, I think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we've done a bit of everything. And I mean, I guess the only things we haven't really shown you are the paraphonic stuff. I'm not going to touch that because I will do it in my own little demo.
Okay, so yeah.
At the back, there's a microphone input.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So if you do have something that needs amping up,
and that is mic preamp.
It's a proper it's THAT, who again the nerds out there may well know, but they are a well-known audio brand. Really, up until I think Sound Semiconductor came along and started doing things like the 2164 again, they were really the only dedicated audio. They may well do more than audio, but I know that they do VCA chips and they do preamp chips.
I'm going to see if I can get around the back here.
Yeah, sure.
So it might be a bit upside downy, but we'll see if we can get this shot and have a little look at the back.
So talking about THAT, the mic preamp is based on a THAT IC, and also the 4/4 inch outputs at the back are all balanced through THAT line driver ICs. So it's not the kind of balancing that you do see on some synthesizers where they've done some weird passive nonsense where it's balanced but it's not balanced. It's not that. It's proper balancing, but transformerless. It's just nice. It just works, and yeah.
Okay, so there was a question just come in.
Hello.
The name of the enclosure company again.
Grav Art. That's GRAWART. They're based over in, I think, is it Lublin in Poland?
Okay.
Really good, and they will help you no end. But they are absolutely swept off their feet.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Okay, so last chance for questions. Okay, PSU.
Built-in PSU. Okay, so I guess it is external. This thing takes 12 volt DC, 2.5 amps, so it is quite hungry.
A juicy.
There is a mains adapter supplied with each synth, which comes with the different plug variants. So UK, countries. EU, US. Okay. I don't think there's an Australian one in there. Sorry, guys, if you're in Oz.
Okay.
But no.
Okay. So, any more questions, folks? Because we're gonna end the stream now. Jim Glue just joined the stream. But yeah, we're just at the end. But yeah, so if there's any more questions, now would be the time to put them in. But otherwise, thanks everyone for your company to join us along. And
thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, and Finn, I'm so chuffed that you came and brought this. I've really
thank you, Gaz.
Been so excited to.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and it sounds amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quick question for regular viewers. I'm using a trial of the StreamYard, but in high res. This is a 1080 stream. Normally it's 720. Thank you. That's very kind. But it's not that I'm going to put a hat out here, but I'm just wondering about whether I should ask for a tip jar or something for more of this content, just to do it in this high resolution. Hopefully it was a nice smooth experience, much better than previous shows. Like last week with Tom, we were just streaming directly to YouTube, and we were getting kind of clicks and glitches, which I couldn't trace my end, so I assumed it was in the... okay, Wagyu has said the stream has been perfect today, so yeah, maybe that's the thing, if you pay, you get the kind of good service, so I might have to tap the lovely audience for a couple of quid to sort of justify it, but... well, we'll see. Now, I should mention as well, next week, we've got the legend that is George Hearn going to be joining me here. He's coming here. We're going to be exploring the new ribbon controller that Udio have recently released, and also my Super 6. I've recently had the keybed changed to the Super Touch, polyphonic aftertouch. But also, I'm really keen to try the Oxy in the chord mode and the stochastic mode with the Super 6 as well. So yes, so plenty happening in next week's show. So let's hope please join me for that as well. But anyway, I think we're going to
I was hoping I could maybe play us out.
Finn's going to play. Finn is going to play us out. So on that note, then, thank you everyone once again for joining us. Tom Curtin has just said it's been great. But yeah, Tom was with me here last week. We were looking at the Polyend synth, which really nice thing. Oh, Wagyu, thank you. That's very kind. So yeah, I think a few little things, and then yeah. Okay, so we'll let Finn play us out, and we'll say goodbye. That's your head loves your music, Finn.
Oh, bless.
I'm going to try and do arty super close shot. Oh well, not that arty.
Not that arty.
No, I'm going to make everyone sick if I carry on with that. Don't forget to like this stream, everyone, please. If you haven't already, would really appreciate that. And also, don't forget to check out the quasi-modal stuff on my channel. I put a new video up this afternoon as well. So, yes. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.